Spoilers for My Hero Academia chapter 376 are here, and let's get started. Shout out to Rukasu and Dabi's pole dance as always, and the title of this chapter is Good Luck Comes by Cuffing, MHA 376. So according to Rukasu, the chapter begins with Ochako and Tsuyu arriving at Gunga, and Toga, transformed into Twice, saying that they're too stubborn. She says the young girl who'd like to talk about love doesn't exist anymore. Apparently the Twice clones are increasing and fighting the heroes, and Kamui saves Komori and Shishido and tells them to move the captured villains away from there so the Twice clones don't set them free, because that would kind of make the situation much worse considering they've already done the work of putting those villains down. This is when Tsuyu realizes that Dabi's also there and wonders if Shoto, Shoji, and the others are okay, considering that they were supposed to be the ones to take him down. And also considering the fact that there was already a kind of battlefield-wide report saying that Dabi was defeated. And that description of the second page is absolutely correct, because on the second and third page we do get a big double page spread with Ochako and Toga at the top, and it seems like Toga is coming out of her Twice form, but again, since she transformed into Twice and then made clones of Twice, it's not like her de-transforming is going to make these clones go away. We see the clones just rampaging and rampaging, even overwhelming the Pussycat Dolls member with the Earth quirk, as Ochako and Tsuyu kind of float over the battlefield using Ochako's quirk. Jiro and Tokoyami go to the two, and Froppy notices Jiro's ear, but she says that this is a low price to pay in the fight against the Demon Lord. They say that the army of Twice clones has the potential to take over Japan, and that Dabi's fire is too hot for them to approach. But at the very least right now, the good part is there's 4 UA students together, so it seems like there is something they might be able to do. From there we cut to Dabi versus Endeavor, as he notices that the X on Toya's chest looks like the phosphor that Shoto described. He asks what Touya did to Shoto, and that's when Dabi says that he wanted to take Shoto as a present, but he didn't manage to. Now his goal will never be fully accomplished. And on top of that, Dabi says that's why he wants to destroy something important for Endeavor, something that he's trying to protect. And I kind of think that he's talking about Hawks because of something that's going to happen in just a couple pages here. And that's absolutely what we see on the page of Endeavor fighting off a horde of Twice clones without really using his heat. He's probably still trying to cool down, as Dabi just floats above Endeavor, not even attacking him, just looking down on him, talking to him, having this conversation with giant jets of fire coming out of his legs and the big X mark just on his chest. And as Dabi says that his goal is never going to get achieved, we see All For One, who is still slowly rewinding, who is probably the only person who could actually rewind Dabi and get him healed, standing there in the distance behind Dabi. We then see a page of All For One looking a little noticeably younger in my opinion, and that's when we see those different kind of lines that are supposed to represent All For One's parallel processing or All For One's parallel plans, because we do know that All For One has backup plans for all of his plans and plans for those backup plans. He's just that kind of guy, very much like Deku, but we're not going to get into that right now. But we see All For One on this page thinking in reaction to what Dabi said a second ago, and then he lunges forward into the sky, and we can actually see now that it is raining where they are, so it seems like we are seeing a little bit of activity from that cloud that we saw a chapter or two ago that was getting a lot of focus. Now it has started to rain at the very least, so who knows whether or not that's going to nerf Dabi a little bit. I really doubt it. I don't think the raindrops are even touching him. And on this page of All For One, we have an internal monologue that begins with him saying that everything is going according to his plan, before again, like I said, lunging forward into the sky. Now looking at the next page, things are not looking good for a certain hero, because as All For One is flying forward, Hawks gets in his way using his cool vibrating sword, and All For One completely shatters it with like a headbutt or some sort of shield ability that he uses, and sadly it seems like a piece of it goes in Hawks' head. There's actually blood splatter coming out of Hawks' forehead, and it doesn't look like there's much more time for the quick hero. And All For One says that the only thing that could have made things better is if Kurogiri went to Gunga instead of UA, because then he would have had a more effective way of moving around compared to the teleportation goo quirk that he currently has, and he's had for a very long time in the series. Now the reason that we see All For One dart into the air in the first place is because All For One says it's time to go to Tamura, and Hawks was trying to get in his way, saying that All For One running away means that he lost to the #1 hero, but All For One says that that's nonsense. This is when we see Dabi finally flying full force towards Endeavor, and Endeavor for the first time in the entire chapter turns his fire back on, and look, Endeavor is not cooled down because we actually do see parts of his skin starting to tear off. So parts of his skin near his face, it seems like are starting to melt. So it seems like Endeavor is definitely going the Dabi route with using his fire to the point where it burns him. And we are going to actually see this dance between father and son into hell. So a very, very short chapter of My Hero Academia this week, but those were the spoilers. We got a little movement from All For One, who definitely I think is going to actually end up killing Hawks really soon, which lines up perfectly with my video schedule because I do have a fun video about Hawks coming up soon. And now we also have the situation between Dabi and Endeavor, and I just don't see that going in a positive direction. The only situation here that I could see potentially being dealt with in some sort of positive way is the Toga twice clone situation, because I do believe that eventually Ochako or some of the other students, or even just, you know, the big massive cloud that's going to make darkness for Tokoyami is going to allow the students to take care of that. But as far as taking care of Touya and taking care of Endeavor's battle, I mean, someone with like a water control quirk is going to have to pull up, right, and take care of them with all the rain and stuff. I really don't know who could do anything about that, but I'm not expecting Shoto to pull up, and I do think that this Endeavor Todoroki family plotline is going to be ending here after this battle between Endeavor and Dabi.